At the end of the day, we are a lot of things. We're goofy, we're spontaneous, we're courageous.
At the end of the day, when the lights go off and the camera stops rolling,
we are ordinary people with extraordinary talents and dreams. We are creative, we are ambitious, we are inviting, we are unique.
At the end of the day, when the director says cut and the set is closed,
we are still here. We are real. Not just entertainers, but people with a lot to say.
we are on a mission to put real back into reality television.
We are passionate. We are perfectly imperfect.
We are the park.
Hey, Keith, so tell me why, after I graduated from Claflin back in '08, the day right after graduation, bruh, I get a phone call, right? I'm thinking that somebody congratulated me, and it turns out they did, but then turned right around and asked me for a damn payment. You know, Sally Mae called me the day after graduation, bruh.
I
You heard
didn't
of
know
that happening before?
I've heard of it, but I didn't know it was happening back in '08.
Yeah.
Because I graduated in '09, and well, I probably didn't have a phone the
Right.
day I graduated. But you know what I'm saying? I didn't receive any phone call, but I've heard of it. Like, I had a cousin who just graduated earlier this year, and she said literally the day after she graduated, Sally Mae called her and was like, "Congratulations! We're so proud of you, of your accomplishment." And all of that, and it was just like at the end of the conversation. So basically,
When we gonna set up that payment?
we get $5. Like, what you got on
Or
it?
do
You know,
you work?
basically, like,
Trying to confirm
right?
your job.
Are you working? If are you not working? Like, what's next for you? How can we figure out how we're gonna get this money back?
Right.
And I'm not mad, but I'm mad because it's like, even if you got a job and you graduated, you don't start
Right.
the day
Right.
after you graduate, you know what I'm saying? And depending on when you start, that means you don't get a check until whenever. And even after your first check, if you decided to move out of your parents' house, like, what happened to 6 months? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Give me some time to get accumulated to graduate. I might get out here in the real world, lose my mind, and
In a perfect world with me, I personally feel like if you can't find a gig, say within that 6 months after you graduate, the old grace period, and you can't find a gig that's over 40K a year, 35 a year, okay? Then you need to be able to confirm, something more than forbearance or all of these other options. You need to have something where that's frozen until I get my situation situated, because yes, y'all are guaranteeing me the funds to get an education or whatever, and yes, I'm looking to apply myself, but what about the factors that I can't control?
I mean, exactly. Like, when we were growing up, you know what I'm saying? We were that generation who was like, our parents made sure we pretty much went to college. Like, when we were growing up, like when my mom was growing up, the generation right before us, it was like, you went to college,
Right.
or you went to trade school,
I was
or
gonna say,
you went to the workforce.
military,
or,
perhaps.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You had options. When we were growing up, no.
That
You
was-
went to high school, then you went to college. And that was supposed to guarantee you some sort of job / income.
That was the dream that,
That
was
was
sold,
the
in other
American
words,
dream
that
we
you
were
sold, yes.
And now, in 2013, it makes more sense to have a trade than a 4-year degree. There
My
is-
point,
there are-
they weren't achievers as you were, so they may have got placed in like what they have for the bad kids and shit, like they be having like
Preparatory school.
right
Yeah.
a school for them to go to
Like
where they
they
learn
have-
welding or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then they come out, they might have their own welding company right now. We all 25, 26. Yeah,
I'm sitting here with a 4-year degree and can't get a hot dog. Like, straight up. We were in school, we were both mass comm majors, and we were told, you know, it is more so who you know than what you know. And that's true, we signed up for it, and that's cool.
Right.
But with all the networking in the world, now it doesn't even matter. It's you got to be.
Right.
So once again, like how we were raised to go to college to get that job. It wasn't go to college to get that passion. Right. Because there's definitely a difference. Like when you do what you love to do,
right,
money is always great.
right.
But you'd rather be doing what you want to do for free than to be miserable working a 9 to 5 for somebody else. So it's like, when we were raised to go to college, we were going for that money. Like
Right.
we were going for stability.
Right.
And to not have it at all, like none, like straight up, like people with 4-year degrees, and it's not just us. Now, I mean, with the way the economy is, it's everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's even people who have had jobs for 20 years and now are filing for unemployment. Like the economy just sucked for my exact class. 20% of graduates across America were graduating with jobs. That means 80% of these people who just went into $100,000 in debt have no way of paying this debt. They did not only not graduate with jobs, they didn't find one in 6 months, they didn't find one in a year. I myself can say, I'm not ashamed to because it's just the cards I've been dealt.
Right.
I graduated in 2009. It's 2013, going into 14. So we're going on 5 years here. I have yet to have a single job that was paid in my field. I've had internship upon internship upon internship, but I have yet to have a job. Right, and put in the work.
So was interviewing from left to right. And the crazy thing about this story is that, you know, the guy sat me down and he said to me, like, William, you have so much passion, so much drive, so much leadership. You're like one of those kids that, you know, you have passion for success. I was like, I get it, I understand. Like, can I get a job now? I meet all these qualifications. And then he said to me right after he told me that, he's like, you know, it sucks because this man's like probably in his 50s. He said to me, he's like, you know, it sucks because we screwed it up for you guys. Our generation has screwed it up for you guys. And I sat there, I was like, wow.
Right.
Like, how do I respond? I mean, he's right. I mean, if you really think about it, when I was younger, I wasn't worrying about any kind of like economy, anything on the news, having to do anything. I wanted to just go play in the park.
That's a great.
You know what I mean? My uncle took me to the park. I wasn't worried about any kind of like financial problems, and now I'm having to worry about bills that are coming up from like 2 years ago.
And none of us are 30. That's the crazy part.
We are all in 30. Yes, we are.
Talking about economy, like I'm worried about retirement and don't have a job.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm worried about retirement because when I turn 60, like if this is the way it's going, where we headed? Like I have to become my own millionaire. I have to become self-made. Like, and that is somewhat of the problem too, because it's like with all of the things that have broken down, like we've kind of lost that community effort because somewhat of the economy. Like everybody's out to try to get it. Kelly Rowland just said on her last album, everybody trying to get to the money, including me.
So the economy is just really messed up. Like I don't even know enough facts to give about the economy, but I know that everybody's not happy, everybody's complaining, everybody needs money. It's just a big problem, and there's only so much that Obama can do to fix it. He came into a messed up situation, and I think that people had too high expectations for him. They wanted him to just completely change how everything was, and he can't do that because once an economy is so messed up, it takes a lot of work to bring it back to a nicer place. And until we can realize that as people, we're always going to have problems and be complaining about who's leading us at the time because that's who we put all the stress on.
We're live. Right. Rochester. Yeah.
Syracuse is country. Okay. They call my grandmother Big Annie.
Okay.
Struggle is so personal, and I think people don't get that.
Right.
Paris Hilton can make $10 million a year, and the next year make $5, and she's gonna feel that. That's different for her. And it's the same thing as you making $30 a year, and then all of a sudden they're telling you, oh, you either gotta be fired or we gotta cut you back 10 G's.
Right.
Like that struggle for you is gonna be just as big.
It's levels to it. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you're still gonna feel that stress. Stress is personal. Issues are personal.
Right.
You can't tell somebody, oh, you what you complaining about? What you mean what I'm complaining about? If I was able to buy 4 Lambos last year and I can only get 1 this year, that's
problem.
something.
Right. Honestly, I haven't had a favorite job because I'm not where I want to be.
Right.
I'm still working towards getting to where
Right.
and I can't really say I have the best one because I'm not there yet.
Right.
But I'm planning to be there.
Right.
I am
Right.
gonna get there.
Right.
You know.
Because and the reason I was asking, because earlier when you were saying that stuff about how, you know, the success and pretty much your career or your vocation is gonna be something that's not gonna feel like a job, of course, right? We all agree to that. And then people always think, there's a quote that I heard the other day, that success will determine your happiness, when in truth, happiness is what's gonna determine your success. So if you find something that you love, then you're not working it. Every time I'm doing something regarding labor or with labor, or if I'm over somebody, then, you know, it has a shelf life, in other words. You know what I mean? That job, it runs out and it expires pretty quick for me. Everybody gets excited when somebody tells you you're hired.
Right.
But after that week or two, then you figure out all the that's with the job. Exactly.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? I think about the labor, and when I'm being paid for my labor hours, where I want to be at is I want to start being paid for my creativity or what's between my ears. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you get to that point, that's
None
when.
of it matters.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you're getting paid for your creative mind, for the creative control of whatever, you know what I mean, project or product is out there, then it's more so like you know what I'm saying. I think that's more of our field, in other words, or our lane as leaders or free thinkers. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree.
You're gonna always feel stuck if you somewhere just doing the ABC job.
And some people are very like, I would rather put on a uniform, I'd rather work 9 to 5,
Right.
I'd rather have a schedule, and that's fine. But when you are a creative person, you cannot sit in that cubicle. It's not
Every
work.
day.
Let me tell you something. I've had the job. I had the job. I accumulated $1,600 a month in bills that I was just throwing out like, let's get it.
Yeah.
And still was waking up in the morning like, how do I spend all this money?
Right.
Because it was there, and I was balling out, and I loved it, and everybody around me loved it, and all that. But then when I woke up, then I realized I was only happy on Friday.
I'd be at the ATM faithfully. First of all, I'd be at the ATM faithfully Thursday night before that Friday morning on one of my banks. Because it'll hit right there at 12. Right? And not just me though. It'll be other cars there parked. And my mans, all of us will give us the same look. Like, yeah, you know what it is. We need to get
1202.
Exactly.
Is it dead?
Then on the off week from my paycheck, this is faithfully, son. This is faith. I'm trying to change my ways, but this is faithfully. I'm over there overdrafting like I'm robbing the motherfucking bank, yo. And that's how I be feeling. But then, right till, because you got the bread in your hand, right? Then you get to that next week and you get paid, you right back in the hole, if not worse. Right. What'd you tell yourself? All right, I'm gonna overdraft one more time. I'm gonna just take this now.
Right, then you get the check, it's short, and then all of that. It's like what you were saying before. The generations that came before us, like, I don't know this to be fact, but it's either the generation that came before us or the one before that maybe, where credit was established.
Right.
And people had no idea what credit really meant.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And, well, I mean, credit goes back all the way to, like, back because they used to keep the books.
Credit
short,
card,
it affects you.
platinum cards,
right.
gold
Back in the
cards.
day, you could just put your name on something and they run you a credit card. You just run it up and do what you do. And like, there was no understanding about credit. And that was passed on to our generation because our generation, we had 5-year-olds with the light bill in their name.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You literally 5. You was born in 89 and at 94 you got bills.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And another thing about it, to be honest, I love my mama to death. But if we was inside the crib, the apartment, up in Queens, off of Sanford Avenue, and the phone rang, and because we remember when we had caller IDs first, talking about the big ones that look like, you know what I'm saying? So if it says something unavailable, 888,
right.
I'll get double front and back slap for answering that, bruh. Real talk. And almost cursed out. So when I'm 18, 19, 20, and I'm at school, and they giving away free pizzas for a credit card, I get a credit card.
I'm gonna get that pizza because first of all,
and then I'm gonna put gas, and then I'm gonna put gas in my car with that credit card.
Right.
And when they call them, I'm gonna say, I'm paying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's how I be feeling. But it's like it's bad that it's that way, but it is that way. It's an observation of why it may be that way. That's how niggas came up. Like you thought that you was gonna be killed if you answered a phone call and it says something like that.
But at the end of it, I think what really is the kicker, like we've already said, is that with all of that, like you don't get credit till you're 18 or any of that, and that's when we did enter college. And I think that we all went with this mindset that we were okay. Like I got into school, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I just gotta finish it.
And then on top of that, and this is a whole nother dinner, the refund check.
I mean, as an African American, going through the school system and getting a college degree and everything, I think the biggest downfall that we have is that as a culture, black people don't know anything about money. And I don't know how it happened, when. I mean, I'm guessing it started, with slavery and segregation and all that stuff. Because with slavery, we weren't supposed to be educated at all. They didn't even want us to be able to read and or write. So I guess money was definitely something they wanted to keep us away from because money is where the power is. But with all of the growth that we have as a culture, I'm really confused as to where we break down and where we just don't get the education with money. We go to the same schools now as the white people or other. We hang in the same establishments. We drink the same water. We can go to the same dog parks. I mean, I just don't get it why we don't know anything about money. I mean, even myself, growing up, I knew absolutely nothing about credit. I knew nothing about stocks and bonds, nothing about the stock market until I went to government and econ, the class, that you offered in high school. But as far as money and what it really means and how it works and the different ways you can make it work for you, I just think we miss that whole piece of education. The only thing we're taught is this is a $5 bill and this is a $1 bill and that's a 10 and that's a 20. You better know how to count your money. And just because that nickel is bigger than that dime don't mean it's worth more.
About it. These students nowadays, or just to be all the way 1,000, it's a lot of, I wouldn't say classified as all people of color, all students of color, but students that come from not affluent backgrounds, when they get their refund check, they feel like it's a grant. Or like it is a gift.
Let me tell you
like
something.
you have to pay that back. And on top of that, that $2,500 or whatever is on top of the loan that you've already taken out.
But you gotta think about how many people are not aware that your refund check is from what you've gotten for loans. That's your loan money.
Exactly.
I'd much rather take some of it and put some of it back so I don't have to owe so much later. If I had known.
That was always.
Granted, don't get me wrong, when I got that check and I saw them zeros, I was like, yes.
Right.
Just
Sally
spending every
don't get it when I
last
got
dime.
it and not a day sooner. Like, I don't give a doggone. I got a couple of refund checks that was pretty nice in my day, and I balled out. That was my spring wardrobe. That was homecoming outfit. That was my mama
You
needed
ate well
some
for month?
shoes. Like, whatever. Man, please. I was
That's how
at
it works.
Orangeburg, South Carolina, and it wasn't nothing to go to them Charleston outlets and make it pop. Like,
That's how it was. Sallie Mae makes me sick. Like, I had to deal with them since high school. Like, I kid you not.
High school.
Yes.
Ain't high school free?
You thinking?
Oh yeah, like a charter or
Yeah,
private
I
high
went
school.
to college preparatory
Right.
high
but I
school.
didn't even know Sallie Mae, even if you went to private school, like middle school, like I didn't know Sallie Mae.
Middle school wasn't a problem, but they do
So
offer
Sallie
it for
Mae
high
does loans
school.
for high school?
They offer it for high school, and they called me right after I graduated. Right after.
high school?
Oh, why are you talking about 18 and college and money and all of that? Why I ain't been able to go to the hospital since I was 18?
Look.
I'm saying, like, you want to talk about Obamacare?
Look.
Where is some care?
Look.
Like, I got bills sitting in my drawer right now that ain't never getting paid. Like, and it's not, well, I won't say never because I got a blessed account. But
I got you.
I apply for food and nutritional benefits. Because
Eating better today.
eating better today. You know what I'm
What's the
saying?
acronym for that?
E-B.
They didn't have a commercial.
You are applying for any government assistance and you get approved, that means that I don't have an income. Or I have an income, but it's not sufficient.
Right.
So how can you look at me in my eye as my caseworker and say, oh, you're a 24-year-old black man by yourself with no kids. There is no program for you.
Right.
What?
So does that mean I
So
just
I
happen
need
to
to go
fall
out
into
and
the
get a couple baby mamas
category?
and get some
Right,
kids. Yeah,
right,
that's what it's
right,
absolutely.
exactly,
I need to go be a statistic
Layman's term,
instead
absolutely.
of being
Exactly.
someone who
Yeah.
went to college, got a degree, but I don't have the job
Exactly.
yet. I'm just trying to make it. And I do want to make sure that if I fall down the steps, it's okay for me to go to the hospital
Exactly.
without the concussion and worrying about the heart attack because I can't pay this bill.
Not to mention, first thing that I'm gonna do after spending all my labor hours at work is I'm gonna go to the fattiest, non-healthy options because somebody else fixing me a burger for $1, $2. I'm gonna eat that for the night because my fridge is empty.
Right.
Which contributes to long-term health issues and while we
And I still can't go to the
exactly.
Big old circle.
Exactly.
Seriously.
Throw a brother some food stamps if he don't got no kids. Just as a congratulations. I don't got no kids, so just reward me, yo.
But I'm just saying, that is crazy. Like, you're just a grown man.
Exactly.
Yo, milk is expensive. Sorry, side
It
note.
is.
Milk is
Even at Walmart, like what? $4?
$5.
$5.
That's going bad.
Right. Exactly.
Silk, it lasts like 3 months. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. 99 cents or set up what? 99 cents together? I'm just playing, y'all.
Going to get everybody.
It goes in an hour and a half.
But what were you about to say? Nowadays, these applications take 3 hours to fill out. Just for filling out your application, you need to at least get
And your computer better have Adobe Flash, because a lot of them got these simulations on there. You got cartoons that you playing with.
When I was in school looking for a job, it was a paper application front, back, make it pop, but keep it moving. You got me filling out your application, your survey, your what if this happened, subtract 62 from 45, you got me spending days work. You know what I'm saying? The same amount of time I would have spent in your training, I'm spending on your application, and I can't even get an interview.
But think about, okay, you know, and people who smoke weed, people who coke, whatever, all these hard drugs and stuff like that. So you got your drug test or whatnot.
Right. Coke is out the system.
3 days or something. Don't ask me. I don't personally use it. I just, you know what I'm saying. And then on top of that, they doing credit checks nowadays. They do.
Yeah.
You're checking my driver's license. You're checking. I'm trying to get the money so I can get all of this. Right. Like jobs take so much precautionary measures to make sure no psychopaths or something like that is working for them. But at the end of the day, they're all through there, and I'm unemployed right now.
Peace, love, and happiness can't come back. You don't want peace, love, and happiness here? I'm gonna say that in my next interview. I'm like, what you mean? So I can't bring my peace, love, and happiness to the workplace. You know what I'm saying?
It just be smiling at them and giggle real nervously.
You don't want that.
You gotta giggle real nervously while you're saying
So
it to
you'd
them.
rather have me over here with a nervous instead of welcome.
Right.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
One thing that I hate about the
You asked me a
workplace,
question.
though, this is one thing I hate. Like, us as black people, we gotta get better at this. Every black person, we nod into
Show up
this
on
way.
time.
We nod into this way. And then every white person, we wanna, hey, how you doing? How you doing? They go that way with it. Hey, how you doing? We gotta stop that shit.
No, we need to first of all learn how to shake hands, go to the resume, and show up on time. That's what we need to learn. Like, it's just me, but Jesus, please show up on time. That is like, I don't care if I'm hiring you for a free job. If you show up late, I'm done with you. Like,
And no lugs or Tims. No lugs or no
that
Tims.
is not business casual.
No.
Oh my God, you cannot wear a button-up, a tie, some khaki pants, and then put on some Tims and think you business casual. No, you go to Payless, you get your $20 pair of shoes real quick, you wear them to the interview, put them in your closet till you gotta wear them again. And
Or
it
take
goes-
them to Play-Dohs.
Like whatever you gotta do, you know what I'm saying? But you, like, that makes me mad. You
Jobs. I believe there are jobs out there. It may not be the ideal jobs. It may not be the jobs that fit our maybe our degree or whatnot. But there are jobs, and sometimes these are jobs you're gonna have to take because they're not the jobs we prefer. In addition to that, a lot of things like were said about the application process. Yeah, sometimes these application processes are long, and I'm a big guy on playing devil's advocate because I've been that person just to take one side. But just to aid in that, you know, the fact that these applications are long, these interview processes are long because employers are paying a lot more to hire someone and then having to fire them 8 months later knowing they weren't the right. You know, I really truly believe that our generation will be the generation that will ultimately develop ourselves based on brand our own selves. You know, we're gonna be our own bosses. That's what I believe. And at this point, I'm 24 years old. I'm gonna be 25 in January. I'm expected to already have had a salary position, moving on up the chain and just Monday through Friday. But
Exactly.
where am I now? I'm not
But
there.
just to piggyback off what you said, I mean, it's just like, we don't have a choice but to be self-made. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, we also fall into a category of too much, what is it called? Overqualified and underqualified. We fall right in the middle of that. Every job we apply for, if it's McDonald's, you got too much education. If it's executive secretary, you don't have enough experience. And we've fallen into that web. So we don't have a choice but to get out here and get it. And I think that's my message to our generation at this point is stop waiting for somebody to give you a job. There aren't any jobs. You're not getting one.
Right.
Like you're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna get a job. And if you get one, you're gonna be miserable. It's not gonna pay you what you're worth.
At the end of the day.
Right. At the
You
end
gotta
of
have
the
to
day,
buy your location.
get your own.
Right.
Why you riding mine?
You have to. I think that's.
Next week on The Park.
To me, Justin is more of a pop singer than an R&B.
Lies you tell.
No,
I just said it's way more R&B than Beyonce is. Now with this new thing, she ratchet
Now, yeah,
and whatever.
ratchet,
And ratchet ain't R&B either. Let's get that
It's not.
correct.
That's just right.
SWB.
Today? No, that last album though was dope. Like I can't lie.
I like their single. I like the single that they have.
it.
I have the new album.
What's it called? Right.
Sisters with
No. You
2.0.
know what they're doing? I just love their voice. Even now, their voices are still.
I don't know about they. Coco pretty
Well,
much
yeah,
carries
Coco.
them.
But even the rest of them, no, you can't throw shade.
Because
Right.
we have to change this for our kids. Because I know for me, I would definitely want to be assured that if I'm spending money sending my kids to college, that they're gonna come out doing something for themselves. If they want to work for somebody else or whatever. But I feel like it's gonna have to start with what's going on right now. Everybody that's in that in between stage, they don't really have a job, they don't know what to do. They're gonna have to create something for themselves.
Right.
Because anything can be created.
Right.
Even if it's something that already happened, all you gotta do is make it better.
Exactly.
That's it.
And don't be afraid of that work either.
Right.
Because that's work. You
It
still
sure
gotta
is.
put in at least 8 hours a day to do it yourself.
Sure do.
Right.
It's still gotta be
Right.
a job.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You're not just gonna wake up. Some people do.
Money is gonna just fall
Right.
in.
Some
Yeah.
people do wake up, put up a YouTube video, and all of a sudden their phone is just ringing. But that's not realistic.
Right.
And what is realistic is even if you are self-made, you have to put in the work to be self-made.
Yep, you sure do. There's always gonna be somebody better than you, and there's always gonna be somebody that's not
But the
so good.
persistent
Right.
is the one that actually makes it. It's not always the best singer.
Right.
It's not always the best dancer. It's not always the best whatever.
Right.
It's the one. J. Cole said it best. He was in front of Jay-Z, gave him his CD, and Jay-Z wrote him off. A year later, I'm back. What up?
Now we gotta dream our own dreams at the end of the day. Pound sign, new rules, if you will. But
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you will though, the corporate, like how they say, you know, the dream that we've been sold has been tied into corporate America. Because like we've been saying, you go to grade school, you go to high school, whatever like that, you go to college, if you go to any kind of post-tertiary school and get like another degree or something like that, you do that. But then that's all a part of the grand plan to get a good job or a salary job where, you know, there's a good chance that you're gonna be more skilled or more talented than the person that you're working for. So my advice to our youth of color, especially the ones that's balling right now, them online millionaires and everything, take about 10% of that. Y'all get about 100 of y'all together, make a black bank. Get a black-owned bank, then Sally Mae will stop being such a monopoly. Because that's what it is right now. It's a monopoly.
Oh my
Snap,
God.
snap, snap. Thank you. Give me the 3 snaps for you too. Thank you.
Think it right. They gotta get their mind right first, or nothing's gonna be done.
Yeah, you gotta stop popping these
Ratchet don't get you a
It
job.
sure
Right.
don't. Twerking don't get you a job. I mean, it can get you a job.
It can get you out there,
Let's
but
not
it's
speak too
dumb.
soon.
It's not a couple.
Yeah, it's not honorable. It's not honorable.
Job.
But, you know, YouTube videos, twerking by the refrigerator.
Hey, hey, yeah.
But you may not be so happy with that result.
Right.
And it ain't gonna get you good so far.
Right.
I feel like people now, the majority of them who are working, who do have career paths now, they're doing stuff that they're not happy with. I'd rather be broke and working my way up to doing something that I love to do and making billions of dollars than sitting 9 to 5 jobs, hating my job, waking up every morning, hating what I'm doing. You know? And I feel like if everybody takes that step and go forth of what they want to do and make millions doing what they love to do, everything will work more smoothly. Like, people will be more happy, and I'm pretty sure people will be making more money. You put somebody else on, because somebody else is doing something else that you love to do. Let's make our own.
Right. I mean, the quote that I kind of made up and I live by is basically like, I'm sacrificing stability today for happiness later.
Exactly. Because if you want to be happy now, guess what? You ain't going to be stable later.
Right. A light bill, you might be nervous. Hey, so can I make that payment plan? You know what I'm saying? I get paid on Tuesday. And you got to do what you got to do. And that's the other thing, like, people are crazy. People look at me like I'm nuts when I say I don't pay a cable bill and I don't pay a phone bill. I've worked my way around that system, and I'm saving that money to put that money somewhere else. We need to get out of a mentality that flashy is what
Is necessary or
you know what I'm
needed.
saying? Like, y'all paying $150 phone bills that you can't even afford.
Or
Well, I
Jordans,
pay $0 a month for a phone bill, and nobody knows it unless I say that.
It's really all a work in progress. You work for what you want. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, if you want it, strive for it. Spend every night, every morning going for what you want. That's how we make it. People are waiting for things to be handed to them, and it doesn't work that way.
Right.
It does not work that way.
first thought about in your mind when you wake up in the morning, whether it's I'm gonna eat today, you're gonna eat today. Just because you thought it already, it's
Right.
gonna happen.
Right.
But if people don't wake up thinking
Or
like
if
that,
you, but if you woke up, thought about it, and decided that you have to eat.
right,
You see what I'm saying? Because you could wake up and be like, oh, I'm hungry.
Right.
And be hungry.
right.
The
that's
whole
true.
day.
You see what I'm saying? But if you
Right.
wake up, you say, I'm hungry and I'm gonna eat today,
Right, that's
then
what
you'll
I mean.
find a way to eat today.